Okay, now we're live. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Is anybody out there? I've got Emma. I've got DJ over here telling me all's good. Thumbs up. Says we are live. So today, this is the first Beer in eCommerce live stream. And we're going to do pretty much what it sounds like we're going to do. I'm going to drink some beer, and we're going to talk about e-commerce. The topic I've picked today is Magento Enterprise License Pricing. If you want to talk about something else, just hit us up in the chat. Let me know. I see Mike McCoy popping in there. And like I said, this is the first one, so forgive us if we make mistakes. It took us 3 minutes to actually figure out how to turn on this scheduled live stream. It's a little different for us, trying to get the software together, get the settings set up. My CPU usage seems to be okay. My other laptop couldn't handle this high quality and frame rate, so we're trying something a little different today, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm not sure how I see who all is in the chat. I just see Mike's response here. There we go. Participants. Okay. So are DJ and Emma, are you guys not in the live stream? Are you not? I mean, you're watching it. You're just not in the chat. I guess you have to actually type something possibly for it to show up. Nice. Okay. So we have 3 concurrent viewers at this point, which I think are all Jamerson employees, but hey, you get what you can. Today, we've got beer. And this particular beer, apparently in the state of Alabama, if you buy alcoholic beverages, the gift wrapping is free. I don't know why they put it in a paper bag, but let's get rid of that. And these fancy champagne style bottles here, but this is a authentic Trappist product. And today I've got a Chimay, I don't know, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it is a Grand Reserve Ale. So that was interesting, right? The one I drank the other day like this didn't explode like that. We'll have to record that and put it in the highlights or something. So, Magento Enterprise Pricing, for those that may be interested in it. Magento pricing is always an interesting thing, and it's usually the first question we get when we're talking to someone, and we're trying to explain to them the benefits of Enterprise Edition. Well, what does that cost? And, Magento, I mean, they're not going to make it super simple, and for a reason. I mean, you want the prices to be competitive based on the value someone's going to get out of a system like Magento. And so there's a price up to $1 million in sales, and then 5 and 10 and 25, or some tier similar to that. And then there's going to be discounts for high average order value, B2B discounts. And then, what product do you want? You want Cloud Starter, you want Cloud, you're going to roll in, you got on-premise, you're going to roll in some other products like Order Manager or Business Intelligence, because package pricing is cheaper than a la carte. So there's not a super simple, straightforward answer to that question. So, but we do get some clues here from Magento's own website, which it appears as though I have lost my awesome window there for Magento's own website. Let me see if I can add it in real quick. I told you there would be issues. So I'm going to add my window capture here. No matter how much you try to set it all up, you go set it all up, and then it's all a mess when you actually go to try to use it, right? So we've got Magento's own website here that gives us some clues, kind of how their license price begins. And on their website, they're touting the cloud or Magento Commerce Starter and Magento Commerce Pro accounts. Now, I'm pretty sure both of these are going to be cloud. I'm pretty sure because they actually mention the hosting setup. So cloud is typically going to be a little more costly than on premises for just the license fee to Magento. Now, once you roll in all of the things that they include in that hosting account and you set up your own hosting account, well, you're going to have more headache, and the price is going to be very competitive, if not, actually, it may be more expensive if you try to host it yourself, depending on your setup. So, cloud's great because you pretty much get the recommended hosting setup straight from the source. You've got kind of one company you've got to deal with. You don't really have to worry about trying to deal with your hosting company in Magento. You've got support from one place, and fewer people to deal with makes life a lot simpler. But on their website here, they've got Commerce Starter Edition, Commerce Pro. Starter starting at $2,000 a month. The Commerce Pro is going to be $34.17. That seems like a very, very odd number. I'm not sure why it couldn't have been $3,400 or $3,420 or $3,450, but I'm sure there's some reason. I'm not aware of it. They don't share those kind of reasons with me. So 30-day free trials here, but we'll dive a little deeper into the differences between these two setups. And you get pretty much all of the same B2C features. You can see the ones listed here, SEO and promotions, and they're pretty much line by line exactly the same until you get down here to the bottom, and you've got integrated B2B functionality. So the Starter Edition is not going to get you the B2B features that is included in the Magento Enterprise Edition. So, obviously it adds to the cost. B2B features are great if you need them, but they give you the option here of saving some money and not paying for features that you don't need if you're just a B2C, business-to-consumer website. The big differences for everyone, and not just those needing B2B functionalities, are going to come in the hosting environment. And, it's got pretty much the same setup. You're going to have all the same features hosting-wise, but you're going to get the business intelligence essentials in both of them because they really want you on business intelligence essentials, and it's a great product. I mean, if you're not using something like that, then it's great that they throw it in because that way people can get introduced to all the really cool things it can do and the insights it can give you about your business. But this is where, you start getting blank boxes in the Starter Edition. Is basically you're going to be on a lesser tier hosting plan. You're not going to get the high availability architecture. What does that mean? I mean, you read it just as well as I can, but basically your hosting is not going to be as robust. You're not going to have dedicated hardware. You're going to be more on a shared hosting environment, is my assumption based on this description, and a dedicated launch manager, which is basically you're going to get a human that you can call if you have problems while you're launching and immediately post-launch of your website, which is, it's when you're most likely to have problems is during that initial launch. Genshin is asking for the URL of the Magento plans. I dropped it in there. Thanks for joining. Ginty. I'm sorry, it's Ginty. See, I've been mispronouncing your name, and then I ran into Beth at the Partner Summit, and she's calling you Ginty. And so I'm like, I've been butchering that. Sorry about that, Ginty. I'll get it right from here. No, I'm going to butcher it again. I'm sorry. I'm still going to mess it up. But, feel free to correct me when I go awry on the pronunciations. that deep Southern accent doesn't allow us to get names right. I'm sorry. So I posted that link there. You should be able to pull that up yourself, and it gives a little more info. And this is, the thing is this is a this is where the accounts start, right? This is a starting at price, and then it may adjust based on your usage. Do you need B2B? Do you have a high average order value? What are your sales ranges? So it's this is kind of the lower tier of pricing. Do you want the on-prem? I mean, you pretty much need a PhD in Magentology to even figure this stuff out. It's fairly complex, and I guess the big question is it worth it? Right? Is Magento Enterprise Cloud or Enterprise altogether worth the cost you have to spend to acquire those features? And the answer is depends. It's one of those things where it may not, depending on your needs, but in most cases, it's absolutely worth it. If you're building a multi-million-dollar business, an e-commerce business, and you're trying to grow, you've got a growth plan, your business depends on that income, it depends on that platform. Do you really want that on an unsupported open source platform? That's a tough sell there. So you want the support. You want to make sure you've got enterprise grade features. The features of Magento alone are worth the license costs. I know a lot of people, and especially in Magento 1. In Magento 1, I had a hard time selling licenses because really, what did you get for your money? I mean, you got a little support from Magento, but that's pretty much it. It was almost identical, to the Enterprise Edition, the open source or community edition. But with 2, they've done a great job in adding some really awesome features in the Enterprise Edition. Not to mention the B2B functionality we already touched on. Requisition list, corporate accounts. You got quotes, you've got quick reorder. There's a lot of cool things there you can do. Negotiated pricing, product exclusivity, all of that stuff right out of the box. But if you even just talk about the community edition stuff, or community edition, the content management stuff, the stuff that's just kind of in the B2C version is what I meant to say. It's well worth the license cost. The Bluefoot CMS rolling in there is just incredible. The staging and preview capabilities, advanced promotions, not to mention the performance aspects of Magento Enterprise. That's the things it can do with the database, so you can separate the database, or database sharding, which is a wonderful word. I don't know where we come up with some of these technical terms, but it basically gives you the ability to have a much more scalable and high-performing e-commerce website, and every second matters. And in Magento 1, and a lot of people are still trying to do it in Magento 2, yes, you can get the open source version, the community edition, and you can add a bunch of modules and pay one-time fees to roll those modules in. But what you're going to find is that now you've got a website that your business depends on, that is cobbled together with a bunch of modules that may or may not work together, that you have to worry about supporting and upgrading every time you want to upgrade Magento. New features come out, well, you've got to upgrade all those modules, and maybe the new versions work together, maybe they don't. It's a much bigger hassle to keep your site up to date, to make sure you have all the latest features when you're trying to piecemeal those functions together, when you pay the license fee and it's just handled. I mean, those things are tested and work together before you get them. It's still, obviously, you'll have to upgrade and you'll have to do some testing, but you've at least got Magento supporting those features rather than having to deal with 10 or 15 different merchants and whatever modules they put together. So it's, I see you there, Gentian. It's Gentian, right? Is that right? It's the hard T as well. at least we got some folks participating in the chat. So that's fun. How many viewers? We got 7 concurrent viewers. That's pretty good for a first try here, right? If y'all are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button on this channel. We've got a lot of fun things planned. I'm assuming everyone has seen the Cure to SaaS video we did. As a matter of fact, I'm going to roll it for you. I want to test this out. We're testing our software here and our setup. So while I drink my beer here, I'm going to roll the Cure for SaaS video and see if that plays for you and all works. Are your sales soft? Are you and your customers no longer satisfied with your site's features? If so, your SaaS may be suffering from limited e-commerce platform. But don't worry, LEP has a cure, because now there's Magento. Magento helps your site be ready anytime. If you experience intense sales spikes lasting more than 4 hours, don't worry, that's normal. Magento is not intended to treat or cure any disease or ailment, except perhaps lack of judgment from where you chose a SaaS e-commerce platform. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for business growth. Magento by Jamerson. All right. So is there anything else in particular y'all want to talk about? I mean, the stage is set. You know, we've got a live stream going here, and we're gonna try to do some different things with this live stream. Maybe have some more people on. Try to increase our production capabilities with it. It seems a little odd me just sitting here talking to you. I think if I had another person to participate, it might be a little more entertaining. I don't know. I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not narcissistic enough to think people want to just sit here and watch me drinking beer on a Friday afternoon. But nevertheless, here we are. But this actually is a really good beer. I mean, this is incredible. If you get a chance to try this Grand Reserve Ale by Chimay, I'm butchering that too, I'm sure. Maybe Gintian knows how to pronounce, I don't know. But this is a really, really good beer. I want to say it was like $8 for this one, but it's 1 pint. So that may be, a little on the expensive side if you're used to drinking Bud Light or something like that. But this is a really solid beer here. So Magento Enterprise pricing, we'll get back to that here. I've got a few notes that I was just kind of taking, make sure I covered everything. The pricing. The pricing starts at $2K a month. But I'm going to tell you, just like I tell my children, everything in life is a negotiation. Everything. And so you want to be on the Magento platform. They want you on the Magento platform. I'm sure there's some middle ground to be had there. Now, you are getting, in my humble opinion, the absolute best e-commerce platform in the world, and you're getting enterprise class hosting. So I'd be willing to bet that there's not the margin there to move too much on the cloud. I think there's a little more wiggle room on the on-premises version because there's not the ongoing support and hosting. You're really just buying the license for the software. But it never hurts to ask. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. That's just kind of how it is. So be sure to, negotiate them down if you can. Try to talk them into a price that's a little more comfortable for you. If you need some help, give me a call, right? Go to jamerson.com, Jamersan.com. The A is important. It is always important to spell a domain name correctly. Hit that Let's Talk button, fill out that short form, and I'll help you negotiate. I'll negotiate for you if you want me to. That might not work too well. It's usually good for you to be involved in the conversation, but, anything I can do to assist. And I'm going to kind of touch on the features here of Magento, at least the big features of the Enterprise Edition of Magento. you've got the performance I touched on, right? The splitting of the database, the advanced caching. I'm not really going to go into technical details here because that's not really what this live stream is for. Let's see, we got Benjamin here asking, do I have a link for the beer? I will find a link for the beer. Someone find, DJ, could you find a link for this beer and post it in the chat, please? It is fantastic. This is actually one of my favorite beers right now at this point. I'm going to hand this to DJ and let him go find us a link for the beer. Because, man, I tell you what, I actually picked it up at Kroger. It depends on where you're at in the country as to whether or not you have a Kroger. But it's good stuff. We have a local brewery here that does a brown ale that's very, very similar to this, and that may be my favorite beer. So this one is right up there, and I can't get their brown ale in bottles or cans for that matter at this point. So that's good stuff. But back to Enterprise Edition, the performance, you've got advanced search capabilities with Elasticsearch. You definitely do not want to be using Magento's default MySQL database search. If you're doing that, stop it. Just quit. Just quit doing it. You'd be better off with some plugin that handles search for you than just using the default search. It's miserable. It's one of the worst features of Magento. Get some sort of plugin. Even if you're using open source edition or community edition, find some way of improving that search. With more users being mobile, more people are using search for navigation. And if they're using search for just basic navigation, then you need to have a search that returns something freaking useful. So Elasticsearch is a great alternative to improve your search versus the database search, but there's a lot of good vendors out there providing some great search alternatives as well. But this one is just kind of included with Enterprise Edition of Magento. And, of course, integration performance. I didn't really touch on that. And you've got the message queue framework with RabbitMQ. For those that don't know, again, not really technical, but at least this conversation's not technical. RabbitMQ is basically a scalable way to create integrations. You're tying in with ERP, you're moving a bunch of data back and forth. It's an awesome framework to do that type of integration that you don't have in Community Edition. Honestly, this is one of those things that you're only going to need it if you're enterprise grade, really. If you're doing large amounts of data and a lot of communication back with Magento. And so you don't really need it in Community Edition. I sometimes wish it was there in open source so that, if you're writing a module that needs to integrate with both, you could use it. I think, the community could probably leverage that a little better if it was in both of them, but I don't get to make those decisions. Hey, DJ, I'm going to need that beer back at some point. What's he doing? You can't post links? Send it to me in Slack. I'll post the link. Oh, look. Gentian found it. Chimay.com/US. Let me pull it up here and take a lookie. Not only did he find it, he found a way to actually post the URL without it being a link, but yes. Let's see if I can find exactly the link to that beer. I hereby declare that I am of legal age to drink beer in my country. Yes, I do. And this is the Grand Reserve Ale. All right, so here's your link right there. There you go. If you can find it, buy it. If you like beer, right? If you like that watered down stuff, that's mass produced that most people drink, you're probably not going to dig this. But if you're sophisticated, like I am, you might want to give it a try. So back to, integrations, customer loyalty features, reward points, in-store credits, gift registry, private sales. you want to build a brand that keeps drawing customers back to your store. It's a lot cheaper to get another order from an existing customer than it is to acquire a new customer. And so anything you can do that gets those customers to interact with you more frequently, well, that's more profit. So do that. Advanced merchandise, promotions, you've got, drag and drop merchandising, just makes it really easy for you to determine which products are going to show up where, so that you can, maybe higher value items or higher margin items you can move to the top, and you can do a lot of crazy things with it. Flexible pricing rules and promotions, rules-based related products. This is one I run into a lot because we tend to work with a lot of catalogs that have a high SKU count. And if you have tens of thousands or millions of SKUs, it's really a pain in the ass to try to go in there and do related products on all of them. It's just not a fun time. And so the fact that you can set rules and allow the rules to choose, what related products are going to show up, well, that just makes your life an awful lot easier. And you can overwrite them on high value, products. It's typically, like with anybody, 80% of your sales from 20% of your products and those kinds of things. So on those 20% of your products, you can go in there and manually do something if you want to, kind of curate that and have a little more hands-on control. But if you, the rest of your products, you just set some rules and forget it. You don't worry about it. So products go out of stock. Well, you don't have to worry about, well, that one's in my related products now. I don't have enough of them. It's just, that's one of my favorite features of Magento Enterprise. One of my favorite features. But you can do rules-based, related cross-sales, up-sales. You've got some customer segmentation options. But really with Enterprise, you have more options than ever to increase conversions and convert traffic into customers. And that's, kind of what we're all here for. I touched on the advanced CMS. Staging and preview is really nice. You've got some personalization options. It's not the most advanced personalization in the world, but there are some personalization options in there. And, the brands that are successful are the brands that differentiate. And the easiest and best way to differentiate your brand is through content. And so that's why we're here. That's why I'm creating a live stream, because I'm differentiating through content. So it's the content management capabilities of Magento Enterprise give you a lot more options when it comes to creating content that helps you stand out. And so, the Enterprise CMS gives you the power and flexibility you need to generate content that draws in potential customers. Then you can use all these other tools we've talked about to turn them into customers and keep them coming back. It's an overall strategy, right? So, not, B2B. B2B, we do a good bit of B2B marketing. We're doing, B2B sites. B2B is an area that we really focus in. And it's because of the complexity of it, the sheer number of SKUs and the integrations, and a lot of B2B merchants have been doing nothing, and now they're just coming online and they're needing to integrate with some god-awful systems that they wrote. Yes, we wrote this 30 years ago, and for 30 years we've had an array of rotating employees with zero oversight or accountability adding features to it. So now we want to tie it to the website. Yay! So that's it, and we enjoy those challenges. We love to integrate with the unintegratable. If you can get data in and out of it, we can access the database, we can integrate it. So I'm really excited that Magento has these B2B functionality, this B2B functionality included out of the box. And it's middle of the road functionality. It's not for everyone. It's not going to get you 100% of the way there unless your B2B needs are kind of middle of the road. But what it's going to do is it's going to get you 80 or 90% of the way to your B2B website. And the features that you actually have to write are now just features that differentiate your business or specific to your industry. And you don't have to create, you don't have to recreate the entire wheel. So this lowers the barrier to entry for you to get into the B2B market and to create something that allows your smaller customers to self-service so that you can then spend your time on just being a better source for your high-value clients. So, requisition list, quotes, negotiated pricing, product exclusivity, quick ordering, B2B's on the rise. It's time to jump on that bandwagon or you are going to be left behind. It's one of those situations. B2B is growing so fast that it's not so much about do you want to grab market share as it is do you want to lose market share. Because if you're not moving right now, I assure you, your competitors are moving. And so, when it's easier to order from them than it is to order from you, enjoy watching your customers leave. San Diego, look at there. I'm glad to hear that, Benjamin. That's okay. So looks like Gentian has actually tried this beer. So I've got backup there that this is a good beer. I'm impressed. I bought the beer fridge over there is fully stocked. Let's put it that way. It's fully stocked. Don't tell my tax attorney or accountant or any of those. Don't tell the IRS. But some of that beer may disappear for the Super Bowl that's coming on Sunday. But it's fully stocked. So some of them have been good. Some of them have been bad. I usually like to try, something new. So I buy 3 or 4 different new beers. And this is great. The one I tried the other day, not so much. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this one is a home run. So that's pretty much what I had to talk about at this point. We talked on Magento pricing, enterprise pricing. We've talked about, is it worth the price? I think it is, especially if you're a growing business. If you're just getting started, if you have 0 sales and every dollar matters and you need to spend those dollars in acquiring customers and making sure that you actually have some sales to stay in business, you know what? Open source is a great option. It gives you the flexibility to differentiate yourself. It gives you a lot more capabilities than a SaaS platform is going to give you. But if you're actually growing or you've got a serious mindset about acquiring new customers and hitting that next threshold and continuing to improve your business, Enterprise gives you the tools to do that. And with the Cloud Starter package, that's $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. If you're doing $1 million in sale and you're complaining about $24,000 so that you have the tools to get to $5 million, you probably have the wrong priorities. You probably want to go do something else for a living, because I don't think it's going to work out for you. That's just how it is. You've got to invest some money to have the tools to be able to get to that next level. That's just the way it is. If you're small, totally get it. But we run into companies sometimes. They're $3, $4, $5 million a year in online sales, and they're like, I'm not sure I want to deal with enterprise and the license costs. And it's just like, it just blows my mind. It drives me to drinking. It's literally one of those situations where it's like, really? Really? You're doing $5 million a year in sales, and the license fee is going to scare you off. But it's amazing how many times we run into somebody that accidentally ended up with a successful business. It happens. You did something right. You don't understand how, or you had an employee that was doing all the right things and you don't know how you got here, and you want to keep that $24,000 and you want to put it in your pocket, when it could give you the things you need to beat out the competition and take those next steps. And you've got to have the right tools. That's one thing I learned. One thing I learned when I bought my house. I bought a house with 2.5 acres, moved from a house that had like a third of an acre. And I tried mowing the grass with the same push mower. And I tried, weed eating with the same weed eaters or edgers. We have an international audience here, so weed eater's probably a southern thing. Like we tend to in the South just call things by the most popular brand in whatever genre it is. Like, everything's a Coke, even if it's a Pepsi, it's a Coke. But once I realized that, hey, this is not going to work, right? I've got a much bigger job ahead of me. I got a much bigger task. It's time for me to invest in a riding mower or a leaf blower that's, a backpack blower that can really move some leaves, because I got a whole bunch of trees now. And it's the same in business. You've got to make sure you invest in the right tools. And that's one of the things we're going to do on this channel. We're going to talk about the right tools. We're going to start doing some fun stuff. The Cure for SaaS video we had a lot of fun with. And we're going to do some funny stuff. We're going to continue to try to come out with something funny every few weeks, I hope. We're going to do this Friday live stream. We're going to try to do it every Friday. I'm going to try to figure out some way to make it less awkward where I'm not just talking at a camera. I don't know, but we'll figure that out. But we're going to do probably a news show, like a Monday Magento show where we kind of recap the last week's happenings in the Magento community. We're also looking at Tuesday tips, where we're going to profile some different tools, email tools or, whatever. There's just tons of tools in the Magento community. Worst case scenario, it gives me an opportunity to look at these tools, learn more about them, figure out how to position them for clients, what works, what doesn't work. So we're going to do a lot of reviews like that, where we're just kind of going over tools and talking about them. And then we're just going to sprinkle in some fun stuff. We'll see how it goes. If anybody has any idea for content, I'd love to hear it. We're already talking to a couple of tool vendors about some ideas. MageDef, is that Telesh? Dude, if that's Telesh, man, you got to change. Like, what's this MageDef stuff, man? That picture kind of looks like you, though. Well, this is actually open broadcast. This is OBS. That's what we're using. Google Hangouts is an option. I tell you what, next Friday, as long as there's nothing going on where I can't do this, I will do it as Google Hangouts. That was shown as an option on this live stream. I wasn't really sure what benefits that provided. I hadn't done any research into it. So that is Telesh. That's a great idea. I'm open to it. So next Friday, that's what we'll do. I'm going to do it as a Google Hangout. Let's see what happens. I want to make this as interactive as possible. I want to make it fun. Again, let's get the voice of the community heard. Let's not just be me talking to a camera, right? Let's have some fun with it. Although I think maybe I'll get more entertaining the more of this beer I get down. Who knows? So how many viewers have we got? I need to pull up my page here. At the peak, we had 9 concurrent viewers. So that's good. That's a good start. I mean, this is the first one. We only have 150-something subscribers. Again, if you're on this stream and you're enjoying this content, even if you don't enjoy this content, if you're here, hit the subscribe button, damn it. What's wrong with you? Trying to have a good time here. We need subscribers. The more interactivity we get from the community, the more things we can do, right? If this is proving fruitful and we're entertaining and people are enjoying the content, we will get absolutely crazy with it. And we've already got some fairly crazy things planned, okay? We got some fairly crazy things planned. Some surprises I'm not going to really tell you about too much until we kind of get a little closer to them, or we may not tell you about them at all, right? The surprise, the anticipation is where it's at. So, again, anything else you guys want to talk about, hit me up in the chat. Hopefully we'll let's see, what do we got here? Okay. Gentian, and I'm sorry, Gentian. I really got to think about it for a second before I say that name. I'm missing that one. I'm trying very hard here. Okay. Gentian, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Delirium Tremens. Okay. I will check and I will see if I can find that one locally. You got to keep in mind we are in Alabama and you are in New York. So my guess is the selection of beer may be a little different. Um, Kroger here, the local Kroger has a pretty good selection. So we've been lucky with that. Um, I mean, I'm at the Delirium website and it's asking me for my language, and it doesn't have a U.S. flag here, so I'm going to go with the English flag, even though, I butcher American English, much less English. So what was that? The Delirium. Yeah, I'm not even going to try that word. I'm not even giving that one a shot, dude. Sorry. So not Delirium. It's the Delirium. Huh. Delirium Tremens. And then some word I can't pronounce, which I'm not even seeing on their website. I don't even see that on their website. I'll give it a try. I'll look for it. Order it online. Mail it. I don't know if can I order. Like, Alabama's crazy when it comes to alcohol laws. Okay, so I'm not even sure. Shoot me an email. You've got my email address. I'd be happy to have you mail me one. I'll pay you for it, or I'll order you a beer. I'll owe you a beer when we get to Imagine. I'm sure I'll see you there. By the way, there's one thing I've noticed about Gentian, though, is that when his wife's not around, he tends to party a little harder, okay? Maybe I'm not around him when they're both in the room together, but it's typically like they kind of disappear fairly early, not too late. But then when she's gone, he's the guy that's like, no, we're going to stay. We're going to party. We're going to have a good time. And then I noticed this past weekend, she also stays out a little later. We were out at the hotel bar. I think she was still there with us at 2:30 when they ran us out. 2:30 in the morning when they ran us out of the hotel bar. Now, she's not quite as hard partying as you are, but she was definitely there for the entire event. What in the world, Telesh, would you try to deploy a website on Friday? We have a policy, right? And I tell employees when we hire them that this is a 50-hour-a-week job to do right. Okay, to do it right, it's 50 hours a week. Other than that, we try very hard. I try very hard to not require nights and weekend work. Once the the whistle blows and the shift's over, I want you to spend time with your family and your hobbies, and I want to create videos and do some of my hobbies and do my own thing. And so deploying on a Friday seems like a mistake. It just seems like one of those deals where you're just asking for a weekend to be burned. And the little bit I know about you, Telesh, I would just think you're not a weekend to be burned kind of guy. I figured you would be in a Jeep on a mountain, snow skiing. I don't know what you do up there. Okay, so you're deploying it next week. Okay. Well, that's better. As long as you're not deploying it next Friday. That's better. Now, I don't think we're deploying anything right now, but we've got several that are going live here in the very near future. It's going to be exciting to see them out there in the wild. Some simple sites, some complex sites, a varied array of complexity. It's always good to see them go live so that you don't have to, good case studies, right? Life is all about case studies when it comes to agency work. So, anything else y'all want to talk about? I was planning on live streaming for about an hour. We stay here as long as y'all want to chat about stuff. I'm having a good time. I've still got, one or two beers left here. So, cheers. Next week, though, I expect y'all to have some sort of beer and be drinking along with me. If you don't, you got to be drinking along with me. Um, we'll try something different next week, although I may have to go buy some more of these and take them home with me. I may leave those for next week that are in the fridge now. I've got some interesting selections in there, and then buy one of these for Sunday. All right, I see Deppner in there. Got his Lagunitas IPA. You should be jealous, especially if you're drinking an IPA. I'm not a big IPA fan. I love a good dark beer, a brown ale, a Scotch ale, something like that. The real kind of bitter, hoppy beers, just not my thing. I don't, bitters are sours and IPAs. I'm just not. I'm not a huge fan of either one of those. So, you're not going to find me. Literally, I have two beers in my fridge at the house right now, and both of them are IPAs that were left over from the last round of Magento meetups. So when we do our meetups, which we've got coming up in a couple of weeks, if anybody listening happens to be in Birmingham, Alabama, Nashville, Tennessee, or Cincinnati, Ohio, join the freaking meetup page. Come out. We got some food. We got some beer. Hell, I may even bring one of these. So, yeah. Telesh is packaging up. Hey, Telesh is working. I'm packaging up beer. You got to plan ahead, man. You got to plan ahead. That's why I get paid the big bucks. That's why you get to be nomadic. And I've got to sit here in this office and pay rent. Yeah, I'm not the bitter beers, the sours. A sour beer, like I have no idea why somebody likes this. Like an IPA, I can at least wrap my head around. A sour, it's like something went wrong. Somebody screwed up in the brewing process. I'm pretty sure that's how they discovered sour. Somebody we made a mistake. This batch turned. It's bad. You know what? We just gonna call it a sour. We gonna sell it to these fools anyway. Why would you? I have no idea why somebody would drink that mess. It's not good. Of course, I'm not a big cider fan either. Like, you give me some good old-fashioned apple cider, that's legit. No problem there. But like a cider beer, not my thing. Telesh has 10 minutes till quitting time. Are you, you're Central Time Zone there, aren't you, Telesh? It's 10 minutes till, 5 for me. Quitting time is whenever I quit. Which today probably be around 5. So, let's hang out. Let's talk. It's always good to talk to y'all. It's a little weird that I'm talking and y'all are typing. So I'm excited. We're going to have a lot of fun with the Google Hangouts next week. Let's see how that goes. So if you're on this call, I'll come up with some topic. Maybe that can be a little more interactive. That would be fun. Anything that's more interactive is better. So I'm excited about that. Let's give that a try. Eastern time, but he works hard. Don't fool yourself. Don't lie to people. We know you didn't get started till 11. I mean, you're not tricking anyone. It's also weird that I have two people over there just kind of watching the live stream. Like, literally, their job is to watch me in delay. It's a little strange to me. Magento Live. Oh, so you're presenting, David. You're presenting at Magento Live Australia, and I've thought about try. I think I could probably get a presentation at one of those easier than I can the U.S. Although I did present at Meet Magento New York. Now, Magento Live, is that something? I'm assuming it's not like a telething. You have to actually show up. I've been debating going to some of these conferences national or internationally, just so I can go to Australia and write it off on taxes. But the business case hasn't been there, and I kind of, spend all the money on camera equipment and all the conferences I go to here. So, I don't know. It's not top priority for me right now, but I definitely want to get out there and kind of see what's going on in the Magento community. I think we're probably a couple of years away from really worrying about international expansion or trying to do anything in any other countries as far as business goes. So it's a tough sell for me, but it's great to see other people doing it. I know there's a lot. I know Brent at Magento is doing some cool stuff in Mexico and India. So it's great to see other companies start to branch out and go to some of these underserved Magento areas. I just don't think we're ready to do that at this point. I mean, I barely speak English, so going to a non-English speaking country definitely doesn't make sense for me. Australia, England, there's some other options there. DJ's making sure we don't mess up, or I mess up. He's not going to mess up because he's, over there watching. How could he mess up? But I'm liable to fumble over myself. So in person in Sydney, man, that seems like a good time. I'm jealous. I'm very, very jealous. When is it? Let me know when it is. Telesh trying to be sarcastic. Tone doesn't come across in text there, Telesh. I know you're the expert on this, so don't be trying to act like I've come up with some novel idea. I just, you still, regardless whether you write it off or not, or if you're going to go on these trips, you've got to have the money. I spent all mine on cameras and fancy microphones and, video editors and things like that. So, maybe next year, maybe later this year, who knows? We'll try. He's the expert. That's right. February 24th in Sydney. Man. Nobody likes you, Detner. Nobody. Nobody likes you. Okay? Nobody. So from there, how long do you stay? How long are you going to stay in? Because, if I'm going to go to Australia, I may just get lost, right? I may be one of those that just kind of, I've got a meeting, and then I come back like 3 years later. But I'm assuming, there, and then you've got, a month. So you could burn a couple of months before you have to be back for Imagine, right? I'm just jealous. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for the jealousy that has been displayed in this broadcast. All opinions are my own and do not reflect the opinions of Jamerson and or eCommerceaholic. Telesh does not. Telesh is telling a fib to you, okay? He's just buttering you up. He wants you to take him to Australia, him and his Jeep. So you're recording new videos on your iPhone 7. The thing is phones actually do really well, especially if you do audio. If you're actually recording videos and then posting them, and you're not trying to do live or something like that. Even live, there's some options there, but if you record audio separately, the phones do really well. The phones struggle a bit with audio. You can get like a lavalier mic that plugs into it or something. What I use here as far as audio is I don't know. Let's see let me look back at the camera here and see if you can actually see what I've got going. Yeah, this thing here is a Zoom H4n. This thing has been great. This has really taken my audio quality up. I really like this microphone. The audio quality is not as good for the live stream. I don't know if I've got settings or something. I've been playing with that. It's not as good for the live stream as for our actual audio. But I've probably got 8 or 9 mics running around here that we've been playing with. I've got a Rode video mic that does pretty well. I've got the wireless mics we used for the live streaming at Mage Titans and Meet Magento, and that was fun. Yeah, Zoom H1's great. I've got one of those somewhere over here, I thought, on the table. I don't know. It's running around here somewhere. We were using it earlier. It's good. It doesn't have as many options as this one does, but if you're just running a basic lav mic, or if you're just using the microphones that are on it, it's great for that kind of stuff. I got this one because I knew that I would eventually be plugging a big mic like this into it. And I actually have the big mic running into this, and then it's actually used as a USB interface into the computer. I think it's actually plugged in over here, but it's a USB interface into the computer so that I can use this mic on a live stream like this one. The Panasonic Lumix G85, which has been a fantastic camera. It gives clean HDMI out for this kind of stream. So it's a great setup. Well, it's funny you say that as far as the 8-9 mics, and we need to hire people with different names. We actually tend to recycle names. We've gone through a lot of Chris's. There was a while where we had a Gary and then like 2 Garys as clients. I'm TJ. One of the editors over there is DJ. We've Chris's and Wills, and it's I think we may have been through a couple of mics over the years. I think it's funny because we joke when we interview someone, if you have a name that has already actually worked here or currently works here, it increases the likelihood that you're going to get hired. Like literally when we get a resume, it's like, okay, there's a good chance we're going to end up hiring this guy because we've already used that name in the company somewhere. What was it? Matt's. Anyway, we tend to recycle names. But yes, you're always full of corny jokes. So we've got about a minute left here. I don't think I can drink all of this beer in a minute. I mean, I can drink all of this beer in a minute. I don't think I'm going to drink all this beer in a minute. So we're going to go until I finish this beer, and then we're going to call it a day. So anything you guys want to talk about, any questions you have, I'm an open book. Just let me know. We scheduled this live stream for, Magento Enterprise pricing. We're testing several things like the searchability of the term. I don't think we'll post this video afterwards. I think it auto posts, but I'll take it down. We're going to work on being able to actually archive and save these later. We just wanted to test and work on the format. We had a little bit of technical difficulty getting the stream started. I've done several live streams, but the posting of an event and starting a live stream from a posted event is a little different apparently. Yeah, I'm not going to. We haven't had a ton of JPs, but we would love to have one back. If it happens to work out. I don't think, James, no JPs. It's not saying every name has been recycled, but we do tend to run in threads. I will definitely do that, JP. I think the team is doing fantastic. We've had several new additions lately, and we're looking to. I think February, March will really be growing again. Everybody seems to be doing great. I'm trying to remember where you're located. I don't know. We've got everybody so spread out. I have a hard time keeping up where everybody is located. But post it in. Where are you located there, JP? I don't know how much of a delay I've got on this, but now I'm not going to chug this beer. Well, Talesh, we already talked about Mage Enterprise pricing before you got here, apparently. We already went over all that. You missed it. Don't worry. We're going to do a more polished video about the topic, and so that'll be better. Yeah, I know it's called Magento Commerce, and I say that. Like, I started the video with that, But then people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Like literally, we had a call with a client today, and we are talking about Magento Commerce and Magento Open Source, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "It's enterprise and community, man." So when you get in the habit of saying enterprise and community with clients because they don't know commerce and open source, Dayton. How close is Dayton to Cincinnati? We've actually got the Cincinnati meetup. We're going to have a few of the team members there. Some you worked with, some you didn't, but we're going to have, I think there'll be 5 Jamerson attendees at the Cincinnati meetup in total. If it's somewhere close enough for you to come, man, we'd love to have you. But you just missed the enterprise pricing talk, man. Basically, it boils down to it starts at $2,000 a month. Do you need it? Unless you're an idiot. That's pretty much how the talk went, right? Unless you don't know what you're doing and you're not trying to grow your business, you need to just pay the license fee. That was pretty much the gist of it. We went into more detail there, though. The great thing about live streaming is if you say something like you call someone an idiot, there's really no takebacks on that. You just kind of have to roll with it. And I'm much more likely to call you names the deeper I get into this Chimay here. See, dude, you should make that drive. I'd love to see you. Go to Cincinnati. Just Google Cincinnati Magento Meetup. We've got it in there. It's like, I think it's week after next. I don't know. I don't even know what day it is. Let me hit this calendar. I think it's week after next. It is week after next. The Cincinnati one, I believe, is a Wednesday night. Yes, absolutely, David. We would love to have speakers for the meetups. We have one a quarter at each of the places we sponsor. We do Birmingham, Alabama. We do Nashville, Tennessee. We've just added Cincinnati, Ohio. Next quarter, we will add another one, and then another one, and another one. And by the end of this year, we will have 6 meetups that we are sponsoring and organizing in and around the Southeast. I've got a great video about it. Look at the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Look at the meetup channel. But we would love to have you as a talker, a conversationalist. Give some sort of presentation. I don't know if you want to do one or all or whatever. Send me an email. I'll get you introduced to Gary. Gary handles most of the actual hard work on those things. But if you want to give a talk, we kind of have a circuit we do with those. We would love to have you. I talk at a lot of them, and so I don't want it. I don't want the meetups we sponsor to just be me talking to people. I get to do that here, apparently. We love to have more people. We've teamed up with Rocket Web on the one in Nashville. I'm going to give a talk about PWAs, Progressive Web Apps, in Birmingham and Nashville and Cincinnati. Rocket Web's going to give a presentation on replatforming in Nashville. And so, we're always looking for somebody, so it's not just me talking at people. That's not really the purpose of these. We're not trying to do it as some sort of platform so I get to talk to people. We're just, we're trying to give back to the community. The map points, the Magento activity points don't really hurt either, but that's kind of the goal. Yeah, JP, it sounds about right. Yes, Cincinnati is February 8th. You're right. Birmingham's the 6th, Nashville's the 7th, and Cincinnati is the 8th. So, if you can make it, man, seriously, I'd love to have you. We're going to buy beer. I'm not going to bring the Chimay. Sorry, but we're going to pick up some local craft beers. I just sent Gary after a new cooler because our cooler game was kind of weak. Cincinnati's a new one. We've never tried that venue. I'm trying to remember the name of the venue. I don't have it right offhand. You can see it in the meetup page. But this is the first Cincinnati, Ohio Magento meetup. This is actually the biggest Magento-related city, based on, if you go to LinkedIn and you search for Magento, this is the largest pool of potential Magento talent out of our 3 meetup cities that we've done so far. We're hopeful for it, but it is the first event. We don't really know. Turnout, maybe good, maybe bad, but we're trying. So if it's just us, at least we'll have food and beer, and we will have a good time, and all will be well. Yeah, David, seriously, hit me up. Like I said, we're always looking for somebody. We're always looking for sponsors and speakers. We've tried to do both, where we have someone kind of, sponsor and speak, but we don't really need money. We just need somebody to help provide some useful content. Let's provide something that draws people out. Now, what has worked better so far is technical content. When we've tried to produce business content, it hasn't drawn the crowd that technical content draws for our meetups, because most people that are going to show up for a Magento meetup are coders, or they're responsible for deployment or development or implementation in some shape, form, or fashion. Even if it's for a merchant, they're the tech guys, not the marketing guys, or gals, or girls, or women. Sorry. So it's definitely technical stuff has seemed to work better for drawing a decent sized crowd. We've tried more merchant, kind of non-technical oriented content. It's done okay, but not as well. We've had a pretty good crowd in Birmingham, and we're continuing to grow that crowd. We have had mixed results in Nashville, but honestly, we've only had two in Nashville. The first one, the weather, like literally, I think I'm the first person to give a Magento presentation in a hallway under a tornado warning. Like literally, the tornado sirens are going off in the background, and I'm in the hallway talking about Magento B2B features. So that kind of kept people from showing up. Tornado warnings tend to do that. The second one was probably a little too close to the Black Friday. It was close to Black Friday with marketing related material, so that didn't help us a whole lot. We learned from that. So technical content, better timing. I think Nashville will be fine. We've got a little more RSVPs going. It's still early, and then I'm really really hopeful for Cincinnati. But 5 or 6 legitimate people turn up. That makes it successful enough. So far, we get anywhere, like Birmingham, we get 12 to 20 show up at any given time. So it's not like earth-shattering or groundbreaking or anything like incredible. But I mean, I think some of the most successful meetups in the world get like 30 on a good meetup. So we're excited about that. Nashville, it's been a little smaller. 5 to 10, I think 5 to 12. Something like that, the first two. So we're getting better. Yeah, I mean, the tech content thing definitely brings people in. The marketing folks don't go to meetups. At least we haven't experienced marketing folks going to meetups, unless they're at a Magento agency and the boss says, you guys need to go to this meetup. We haven't got that kind of buy-in. It's definitely been technical. Yeah, exactly. I mean, stick to the technical stuff. We do have a strategy, Talesh, on our meetups. Basically, we're trying to target the southeastern United States. I know we're kind of dipping into the Midwest a little bit there, but what we do is I basically look. The reason we went to Cincinnati is because we're already doing Birmingham. What was the biggest city that makes the most sense for the next meetup? And by make the most sense meaning I looked at all of the cities around Birmingham, Alabama, which is Birmingham's a 2-hour drive for us. I looked at all the cities that are within basically, 4 or 5 hour drive, and I checked on LinkedIn to see how many people listed Magento as a skill set in that city. And from there, we basically narrowed it down to Nashville. And then we're in Nashville. What else is kind of that 5-hour range or so that has a good bit of Magento talent? And we really want to have them in different states. So we didn't really want to have another one in Tennessee. So we moved up to Ohio. Looks like DJ is leaving for the day. I'll see you, what's today? Friday. So I'll see you Monday. All right. So we from there, we're going to try a completely different circuit. So we're looking at several cities in and around the Southeast: Charlotte, Jacksonville, Florida, New Orleans, places like that. We've basically looked at all of the major cities in and around the southeastern United States, and then we do LinkedIn searches for people listing Magento in their talent, and then we rank them by population. And after this circuit of Birmingham, Nashville, Cincinnati, then we're going to pick cities that have no active Magento meetup, but a high number of potential people interested in Magento to bring in. So that's really kind of the overall strategy. It benefits us multiple ways. I mean, we could use the map points, but that's really the least of it. We want to give back to the community. We want to be involved in the community. It doesn't hurt to be, to really network in the Magento community. You've got all of these conferences: Meet Magento, Mage Titans, Imagine, but there's not a lot of companies that really support their developers going to these places and spending the money and the time off to go out there and to network in the Magento community. So just being out there and getting to meet people and learning more from them, it's a great opportunity for us, and it gives us a chance to do our little part to help grow Magento in the southeastern United States, where, especially in Alabama and Mississippi and Tennessee, there's not a ton of Magento going on. There's not a lot happening there. So if we can help foster that a little bit and help them grow, that's great to be able to play a little part in that. We tend to not really like to do what other people are doing. I mean, if somebody else is doing it, let them do that, right? Nobody's doing anything in the southeastern United States outside of South Florida and Atlanta. So we get to play a part in trying to grow that community, and the exposure doesn't hurt from doing so. So, all right, I think we're gonna call it quits here. I don't want to chug this because I've already gotten told it's not a good idea. But that is a fantastic beer. It is 9% alcohol by volume, which may be a little on the high side for a beer, but it's good stuff. I appreciate you guys watching this video, watching the live stream, participating. Next week, we'll try to make it a little more interactive with the Google Hangouts. I don't know much about that, but I'll do some tests this week. Figure it out. Same time, same place. Look forward to seeing you there. And I'm going to go home. I'm going to, see the family and have a good time. Y'all enjoy your weekend.